This weekend, only at Macy's, it's our lowest prices of spring. How low? Diamond rings, pendants, and earrings, only $399, originally $1,500. Ninja blenders, now $89.99. And $395 men's designer suits, only $99.99. So if you're wondering why you should shop Macy's lowest prices sale, well, the name pretty much says it all. It's our lowest prices for one weekend only. Starts tomorrow at Macy's. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a wave pool, a lazy river, and a bunch of massive water slides, including ones your family can all enjoy together. They even have adventure-packed attractions, from the Northern Lights arcade to delicious dining, and you can't miss the nightly family dance parties. With 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com, greatwolf.com, and strengthen the pack.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about 5 times that animals have played a part in football and made the headlines. And trust me, there are some crackers in this. Before we get into this episode properly, a few of your shout outs and your messages. And just a reminder, if you know someone who has a birthday coming up, or you're in a team who want a shout out for having a fantastic season, or for anything else at all, you can now get a personalised message via a video in the Cameo app right now. Just go on to the Cameo app and search Darren Rees and you will find me in there. Thanks very much to every single person who's been sending in their shout-outs and their messages. No new recruits at the moment in the club captain section on Patreon. And remember, if you're a club captain, you are guaranteed a shout-out on the podcast. So, these 2 shout-outs have come in via Apple Podcast Reviews. It says, 5 stars. Hi, I'm Hester. I'm 8 and I'm from England. I support Newcastle. I love your pod so much. Well, Hester, a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for taking the time to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. You don't realise how much that little thing helps the podcast and gets new people to find it, which makes it bigger and better and helps me to keep the podcast going and flowing and making all the other new episodes which I've got coming out over the next few weeks. The next one says, best pod ever. Hi Darren, I love your podcast. 5 stars, I listen to it every single night. I play for Monmouth Town FC. And please can you give a shout out to my football club, Monmouth Town. Thank you for making these podcast episodes. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And that is from Edward. Well, Edward, thank you for taking the time to not only leave that review, but for giving your thanks for the episodes. They take an extraordinarily long time to make and put together, and I do it because I love it, and I do it because there's people like you who are out there who are grateful for the podcast. Right, that's all we've got time for in terms of shout outs and messages. And remember, if you want the chance of getting a shout out, then please email footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com, or like I say, if you're a club captain on Patreon, you are guaranteed a shout out. If you're a super listener, you can upgrade to club captain, and if you're not on Patreon at all, then you can sign up straight away as a club captain, get your message into the inbox, and you will appear on an episode very, very soon. Okay, this is a bit of a different episode, but I think we needed a bit of something different. We've done lots of episodes on players, teams, leagues, competitions, managers, trophies, awards, you name it, we've done it. So, to mix it up a little bit, I thought we'd do something a little bit fun and hopefully a little bit funny. I've covered episodes on the podcast before where an animal has played a part in the story. You've probably heard my episode called 1966 and a Dog Named Pickles, where the World Cup trophy was stolen and a dog named Pickles was a dog who found the trophy. And if I've been to your school and spoken to you in assemblies and done the story on Lionel Messi and all the other stuff I do, then you would have heard the story about Pickles in one of my live assemblies. So, let's go through 5 other scenarios where animals have played a part in a football match and, because of that, made the headlines. Now the first one, we're going to look into a horse called Billy. So, it was the first ever FA Cup final to be held at Wembley Stadium. It was the year 1923, and back then, over 100 years ago, Wembley Stadium was built in an incredible 300 days. So, from when the first shovel went into the ground, they created that marvellous stadium in 300 days, less than a year. It was a marvellous achievement. The aim was for it to be ready to host the FA Cup final. It was made to host 125,000 fans with 23,000 spaces in seats. Everyone else would be standing. However, on the day of the final, between Bolton Wanderers and West Ham United, over 200,000 fans rocked up and made their way in to the brand new Wembley Stadium. Everybody wanted a part of it. However, not everybody had a ticket. There was no turnstiles or hundreds of stewards and all the stuff which you've got in stadiums now, so getting into a stadium was very easy. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people just sat on the pitch, causing chaos. And, to be honest, it got to the point where it was seriously dangerous. There were so many people in there, somebody was going to get very hurt if something didn't happen soon. And then, a big, beautiful, big horse came in, and the person riding it was a man called George, who was a policeman. The horse was spectacular, and it had lovely, shiny, grey hair. That horse was called Billy, and Billy, although surrounded by tens of thousands of disruptive people and huge amounts of noise, calmly trotted towards the crowds, moving people out the way and out of the stadium. And eventually, the game started 45 minutes later. The next day, on the front page of the newspapers, there were pictures of Billy in action at the game, and the game was described as the White Horse Final. Billy wasn't actually a white horse, he was grey, but back then everything was in black and white, so he looks white on the camera, and that final, to this day, is still spoken about as the White Horse Final, and Billy, the beautiful white horse, saved the day. Next up, from a serious one to a potentially funny one. It was a Sunday League match. I can't tell you exactly where it was, but it was somewhere in the north of England. And a goat, yes, I'm talking about a goat, made its way onto the pitch, not only disrupting the game for 10 minutes, but it took an instant disliking to the linesman and proceeded to chase said linesman up and down the pitch for 10 minutes, trying to take him out. The goat was said to be sticking its head down and charging at him at every given opportunity. My guess is he gave a bit of a dodgy offside. The local newspaper ran a story on the goat and described the goat as the man of the match, and those in attendance are still laughing about it today. However, it said that the linesman is still petrified of goats. Next up, the 1962 World Cup quarter-final between England and Brazil. The 1962 World Cup match was being played in Chile, where a stray dog made its way onto the football pitch mid-game. Now, in the country of Chile, especially back in the 60s, there were tens of thousands of stray dogs all over the streets, and things were a little different back then. Anyway, the dog caused the game to be paused, and then the 22-year-old England and Tottenham Hotspur's legend Jimmy Greaves spent several minutes running after this dog, trying to catch him and safely get him moved off the pitch so the game could continue. Eventually, the legend Greavesy did catch the dog, but the dog then went and weed all over his football top. And in those days, they didn't have lots of spares like they do today, so poor old Jimmy Greaves had to play the rest of his game with smelly dog wee all over his football top. And what made it worse was England went on to lose the game 3-1, departed from the tournament, but what made it better, I guess, was a Brazilian player then got the dog and adopted it and gave it a fantastic life. Another moment where an animal has made an appearance on a football pitch and made the headlines, for some funny reasons, but also for some wonderful reasons as well. Now, the penultimate one was one that only happened last year, and it's on YouTube, and it is thoroughly entertaining. It was in the MLS, and it was in a game between New York City and Philadelphia, and a raccoon made its way onto the pitch in the middle of the game. Now, raccoons are generally animals that if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. However, it's been said that raccoons, when they're angry, can be quite vicious. They've got quite the teeth on them, and they can get a bit grumpy. The game stopped as the raccoon made its way onto the pitch, and then around 10 members of staff spent several minutes chasing the raccoon around the pitch with a bin. The raccoon continued to escape them. The crowd found it absolutely hilarious, and eventually the raccoon was caught and safely removed from the stadium. Later on, or if you're allowed, or whenever you get the opportunity, search on YouTube "Raccoon Enters the Game." I'm sure it'll pop up there, and trust me, it's a funny one. And lastly, the fifth and final one in this very fun and different episode is one which had me ribbiting. It involved a match being postponed in Switzerland because of frogs. Yes, you heard me right, frogs. 41 minutes into a game in Switzerland, the referee didn't have to just pause the game due to a couple of frogs, but there was thousands of frogs who invaded the pitch, meaning the referee had to completely abandon the game. Apparently, as the story goes, there had been some heavy rain, and the frogs were moving away from the heavy rain and into the forest which was close by, and the route which the frogs had chosen to take just happened to be one with a football pitch in the middle of it. Oh, and right in the middle of a football match. The frogs hopped on, and well, the players hopped off. So there you go, a bit of a fun episode with 5 times that animals stole the limelight in football. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitchside, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and remember, if you want or you know someone who you think would benefit from a Cameo, have a search for Darren Rees or Football for Kids in the Cameo app right now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Well, I'll be a hitchhiker in an Easter Bunny costume. Hop in. Where are you headed?
BJ's Wholesale Club to do my Easter shopping. I have so many baskets to fill.
That costume is so lifelike. There's not even a zipper.
Oh, there's BJ's. I can hop out here.
Look at him go.
Get a $15 digital coupon when you spend $150 on practically anything in one transaction through April 20th. Coupon will appear in your digital gallery on April 24th. Terms apply. Go to bjs.com/Easter coupon for details. BJ's. Absurdly simple savings.
Football for Kids is proud to be supporting Soccer Aid for UNICEF 2025. Watch some of the biggest stars take to the pitch at Old Trafford on June 15th for yet another match which is set to be a classic. Tickets are available now via socceraid.org.uk/tickets.